We packed up our flashlights, packed up our bags, and had emptied crates. We were ready for an overnight thrifting vacation. We were heading to the all-night flea market overnight, and along the way, we decided we were going to garage sale. So, fun story, my mom had given me this special button that her and my dad had used in the past. When they were garage selling, they found a sign, and if they found the actual garage sale, they'd press this fun button. So it was pretty special, and we enjoyed it. And then Sean had found a button that we pressed after we hit the good garage sales. We know we're dorks, but we're having fun. As you heard, we went up to the all-night flea market in Dupage County, where you bring your flashlights and shop all night long. So we decided to make a trip out of this. It was about an hour, and we went for 4 hours and hit about 15 or so garage sales. So I'm going to share some of the fun finds that we found along the way. Garage sales are one of my absolute favorite ways to shop for myself and for my reselling business, because most people are just willing to get rid of their stuff at really, really low prices. Some people are a little married to their stuff, but we just move on. So I'm going to share with you some of the things we found. Just quick, not everything. I did get a huge box full of clothing. I sell on Poshmark, and all of this clothing was about $1 per item. And I'll share a couple of those. I'll do that a little bit later. But all of these were $1 each. I've been looking for this for the fall, a cute little brush. I loved this. I thought this would be great to paint. The retail is $16. Got it for $1. And then a whole bunch, bags and bags of different jewelry that I think he had me bundle like 8 of them for $1. And I currently have in one of my boutiques a fun jewelry display area that I'm excited to put those into, as well as, who doesn't love a rusty, crusty pail? So I'll probably do a little bit of painting on this and possibly do some decoupage. We'll see what I make out of this in the future. As we traveled on, I hit probably my absolute find for the whole trip. I was looking around, and the guy had a lot of fun antique items, and as I was looking through, this was $1.50 for some really old cookie cutters. I'm going to be doing a fun collaboration in November that I needed cookie cutters and some other stuff for. But as I was looking at these, I noticed he had a metal potato chip tin, and he asked, are you looking for more antiques? I have a bunch more cookie cutters. That's when I asked him, do you happen to have a marshmallow tin? And he went into his garage, and out of a box, he pulled this. And I shrieked. This is something I've kind of had tucked in the back of my head. A lot of creators have been finding these and searching for these. And when he pulled this out, he said, the lowest I could do on this is $20. I grabbed it up very quickly. So I'm excited to finally have a marshmallow tin. I am going to go ahead and hold on to this. I think this is for my display that I have. But this one, I'm excited. This is the real deal. So this, out of the whole weekend, was my absolute most amazing find. I do have a couple of other things I'll share out as well. Another fun find along the way was this $5 wooden bench. Already white and chippy, this was a score. This was only $2. So I truly could probably leave it as is. I'm definitely gonna leave this chippy. That's perfect, right up my alley. And then I'll probably go over this with some white paint and then do some kind of decor on this as well, and then add some faux flowers to this. But this was a great find, $2 at a garage sale. At that same one, I bought a couple other little odds and ends, I'm always looking for myself as well. She had some fun, shower fizz, candles I always get 4 for $1. So I grabbed a bunch of things like that. On to the next one. I stumbled across these. I know that Halloween's coming up, and these are going really well right now, the Hide and Eek brand. So if you ever see something, especially the cute little stuffed animals that they have, grab those. These were $1 per plate, but I figured I could bundle them. They're a great material. So for Halloween parties, I thought these would be cute. I grabbed a stack of them, and I plan to have them probably on my website as well as in my booth. So I'll bundle them together for parties. So as I mentioned, I grabbed a lot of clothing along the way. I typically purchase clothing if it's $1 or less, and there are a lot of people out there getting rid of really great name brands for $1 or less. So along the way, I want to say I grabbed probably 30 to 40 pieces of clothing. And I will wear some of that myself because I have no problem wearing clothing that's from garage sales or resale stores, as well as I will go ahead and resell it on Poshmark. So I'm going to just share a couple of the items that I got just to give you some good examples. I typically do not buy purses just because I don't use purses as much or bags, but this one I do grab Vera Bradley. So this I did grab. This is a cute one. I've been grabbing quite a few, and I do sell those on my Poshmark closet, and they go pretty quickly. Another thing that I loved, this again was only $1. In Olivia, I just thought it was absolutely super cute, right? Tie bottom. So I'll be putting this on my Poshmark closet, although some people will probably see me wearing it prior. And then new with tags. I mean, there's J. Crew, $1. Okay, as well as some fall and winter items. Those cargo pants are absolutely adorable. Grab them for $1. And then sweaters, even though it was super hot the day I was shopping, I still kept in mind that those go quickly. And this is an adorable sweater dress. So just a couple samples of some of the items that I find that I scoop up right away. So luck wasn't on our side. When we got to the hotel, it was a torrential downpour. So we went ahead and went out to dinner. After dinner, we grabbed our flashlights and we went ahead to the flea market. The rain had stopped, we pulled our wagon in, and as we got there, it started pouring. Once that huge second wave of rain stopped, we went ahead and pulled out our flashlights, and we were outside visiting the vendors that were left over. So as you gathered, we kind of drove into a torrential downpour. We brought the wagon in, and as soon as we got the wagon in, the second wave of rain hit, which was a bummer because there was already a group of outside vendors that had started clearing their stuff. I was so bummed. I definitely would go back, but I know that we missed out on a lot of great things. When the weather cleared, we pulled out our flashlights. Sean had on his headlamp, and we were out and going about. One of the first things that I had discovered was this vintage fan. It was $15, and I was fine paying that price because it's something I wanted for myself. I absolutely loved that color, and I've been wanting one of these fans for my shed so bad. So he said it works. I'm hoping it does. If not, it's just going to be on the shelf as decor because I thought it was cool. Definitely needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I did not get as much at the flea market. I truly scored all my stuff on the way there and on the way back. Like I said, those vendors, a lot of their stuff was swamped. Like I was digging through a couple bins that just had water in it for the outside vendors. I felt so bad for them. One of the vendors had so much stuff and all of it was underwater in different bins, and he was frustrated. Like he was done for the night, and he had tables that said $1 or $2 each. This one was just thrown on a table, this really cool basket. It was sopping wet when I got it. But like I said, he was so frustrated. I just asked him how much. He's like, oh my gosh, you can have it for $1. I don't even care right now. So I got this really cool basket. I don't think I really need to do anything with it. It's just gonna be a wall piece. If not for myself, I'll probably get this into my booth as soon as I can. Did grab a couple pieces of clothing at the booth or at the flea market. I always go for these Life is Good, and I love the volleyball, as well as those old concert t-shirts. This was a Lollapalooza one, and what I like to look for is to make sure it's obviously, not a remade item, 2017. And when it lists the date on it and those concert events or the people who played at the concert, those typically tend to go really well for me. And then the last, this is it. I didn't get a huge amount there. The last vendor, I wish I would have gotten the name of it. He was all about antique items. So his booth in particular was my absolute favorite. He had bins and bins of different things. I'm going for those tins lately. I grabbed this really cool old coffee tin. I have not Google lensed it to see its value, but it was $5. And then he had these tables that everything was $1. This item was priced, I want to say it was at like $5, and he ended up just giving it to me for $1. So it's an old beer. I don't even know, it's tin. Thought that was super cool. And then as I was rummaging through his dollar items, I found, I don't think this has great value, but I thought it was super cool. This is an old film, A Tale of Two Cities. So that's kind of neat. I make old vintage jars, and I felt like that's something I could easily slip into those old vintage jars as a goodie, as well as this was cool. These are those old, like if you remember, you could take a rock or one of those old like pretend guns and it makes the loud sound. So it has for those paper guns, they're very old, the rolls of paper for making those sounds. So again, this is old. I'm gonna look it up. It has where it's from on it. I have to Google lens it still. And then last but not least, this is cool. This is a ruler pencil case, very old. So that was it. Oh, I did get another thing. I did notice a lot of vendors had kind of pallets of newer items. I was hoping to see even more like old vintage, rusty, crusty stuff. I think all of that was on the outside, and most of those, like I had said, had already packed up. So I missed quite a few and was bummed about it, but I definitely would not take that trip back. Some of the new stuff, this lady had a ton of candles and different items. Everything was 50% off, normally $8. I'm a huge candle person, so I like to buy them at a very discounted price. So, and lemons. Those are my two things that I absolutely love. So I grabbed a couple of these at that event as well. But that truly wraps it up for what I got specifically at the flea market. Let's take a peek at what I got on the way back. That was really fun. Aside from the items we found, there were so many unique things just to look at. The next morning, we were heading back, and we didn't have a lot of time. It was a Sunday. We had some things to do at home, and I had a podcast to do with Sonnet. So we kind of rushed back, but we made sure to stop at two important places. One of those was Goodwill. We absolutely love to stop at different Goodwills to check out the different cities and what they're like there. And we were pleasantly surprised. I have to find out what city we were in, but I'll make sure to let you know that. So here are some amazing things that I had found. These were so cool. This one was $3. And this one's definitely a vintage one. So when I was looking at this, there was a man in the aisle and said, hey, there's a second one. Check this out. And we got into a fun conversation about, the different places we go for some items. But the second one, to me, I looked at it, it's vintage, it's older, right? I have to look up, yeah, oh my gosh, who remembers Kmart? This was $60 back in the day at Kmart, and it does say 1988. I mean, that's scary to me that that's considered vintage, but it is, right? and $5. So this one has like a tape deck, and I like the metal label on it. So I'm gonna check out the price on what this is valued at. But when this was made, you can see it says 1934. When this was made in the 80s, I think it was made to replicate the vintage ones, like the one that I have here. I mean, and the clue is it has that tape deck, but I do remember my grandmother having one of these in her living room. Okay, some other fun things that I found. These were super cute. Cement bottoms. This one doesn't have a price on it. I know that they were reasonable, so $3. And I don't know, I have to check. I feel like she gave me both of them, which they don't normally do. She might have charged me $3 each, which is fine. Super heavy, faux plant. I definitely plan to kind of like maybe put some chippy paint on these. Something simple though. I don't think I'm gonna go too crazy. I think these would make awesome decor on shelves. So that's one of the items that I was excited about. I'm always picking up wreaths just to really, you know, I have a lot of wall space in my booths. Plus I have a thing for wreaths. This was $2. Fall, perfect for fall. That'll last for a while. A couple shelf sitters. Hard to see, but these are like brass and spiky. These will look cool on top of a pile of books or so on. And these were $2 each. It looks like, oh no, I was gonna say they could hang, but no. And then like I mentioned, I'm always looking for candles. There's things that we burn through, right? And you can get them for a discount. So this one, I'm obsessed with fall smells. This was the pumpkin one for $4. And this one was only $3, but it has a lot left. I check it before I go, as well as the smell. And a couple cute signs that I found. Like, how fun is that? I don't even think I need to do anything with this. Got it for $2. The price right on there says $15. And it's actually brand new. Look, it was never even used. Can't beat that. As well as, okay, this is the classroom one. I thought that this would look really cute in a teacher's classroom. Again, it looks like this one was never used. It still has the tape over it. $2. Be kind. And the value on it was $20 it's a Hallmark one. So not sure, I'm debating. It may be a classroom, like I might put it in the office that I'm in or give it to one of the teachers, or I may just go ahead and put it in my booth. Haven't quite decided what I'll do with that. And then for those who do not know, I love to upcycle old crayons, so I'm always looking for reasonably priced. These were $2 for a huge bundle of old crayons. So I grabbed those, as well as another bag item that I got. This was $2. And I know it's spring. I don't have a huge amount of space, but look how cute. And this must have been at somebody's booth that they tried to sell it, because it does say they were trying to sell this for $11. Already priced, already created. So this is something in the spring that I'll definitely put into my booth. And then as I mentioned, I do the crayons, and I'm always buying my own silicone molds, but when I see them for 99 cents, I scoop them up. I do have a crayon bar that has all different designs, as well as me making party favors, so I'm gonna try those out as well. This is super heavy, super solid, and I'm thinking, you know, maybe it was for a candle, but I think even better would be a cute faux plant that drapes over it. So not sure if I'm gonna keep this one dark or if I'm gonna lighten it up, but this was $3. Right, very solid. It looks like it might have been painted already. And I'm always looking for myself. Needed cotton, got it for 99 cents. So I am a bird person, and I loved this one. I thought it would be cute. And there's some things that I can put in here that I would have for sale in my booth. So I'm kind of debating. I'll play around with this for display. I paid up for this one. This was $7, and I don't normally pay that high. Very heavy piece, but I felt like I could at least double my price when I sell this. It was cute. Now, our last stop was an estate sale, and I'm a pretty frugal person, so I'm not typically one. I love to go into estate sales, but I don't tend to buy a huge amount because their prices are usually higher. Garage sales, thrift stores, rummage sales are cheaper. Estate sales are a little bit higher. However, it was Sunday, and sometimes they do half price items. So we definitely went into it. It was in Arlington Heights, actually not far from where I grew up, but we were still 45 minutes away from our home, and we were pressed for time. However, this was our second best find aside from my Marshmallow tin. So this one was half price off of the ticketed items, and there's a lot of great stuff. It was pretty crowded. The first thing I found, I'm gonna lift this up, was this giant tin. This was outside, and I'm gonna show it to you a little bit more. But when I found out that things were half price up, and I saw this vintage enamel tub, and it said 20, and I knew it was 10, I'm like, I have to grab that. So I definitely grabbed that, but I shopped around and loaded some other stuff inside of it. So I'm gonna share with you. But bottom line is, when I brought this whole thing up to the lady, it was so funny. The boss of the boss of the estate sale wasn't there. And the lady, when I asked the price for different things, said, when I showed her the whole tub, she's like, I'll give you everything for $20. She's not around. I felt like I was committing a crime. It was so good. So anyway, well, it's not so good that I was committing a crime, but you know what I mean. I was excited about the prices. So I'm going to share with you some of the things, everything in here for 20, but I just want to share with you what happened. So these were sitting nestled, like there were a bunch of them, on top of the refrigerator. There was a lot of really cool stuff in that kitchen, like a lot of good old stuff. So these were just like sitting, I want to say a handful of them side by side on top of the fridge, and I spotted them right away. Like I knew just by looking at the color that these were old and these were vintage. So I scooped them all up, put them in here. But what I also discovered was each one of them had more of them. So there's like a ton of these little tins. And these are for like what? Flour, sugar, everything. Check out the bottom. They're an old, they're vintage for sure. So I'm thinking I have a good 2 sets at least. I mean, these were like, I felt guilty. But she saw them, I showed her them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my homework on these different ones. That one has nothing in it, and find out exactly how many sets I have. Thinking it might be 2 sets, it feels like. I mean, yeah, there's another one nestled in it. Some of them are the same size. So I'm thinking I have 2 sets. Again, I'm gonna Google Lens these, find out what one set is worth. Sometimes people buy them, like maybe they have parts of it and they need one of them to go with their whole set. So I'm gonna look a little bit more into it, but there's no doubt in my mind that these are, I got my great thing for the price I paid. And then an old, this one I believe is like an actual vintage one, washboard. Yep. I always love those just to grab. Love the vintage measuring tapes, tape measures. So I got that. I got a bigger one. Same thing. These are the old ones. And then I'm always looking for faux potter or faux plants. And then, ooh, look, check out this little nesting hen that I got. That'll go quick. I always sell these, the bigger ones, very quickly. And then I had thrown together a box, just threw everything in this box. She was a crafter. There's some painting items. And then I pulled together, I like the old clothespins for my vintage jars, as well as some old tools. Can't beat that. All of that for 20 bucks. Like, even just on the vintage tin itself, I am excited. And I'm trying to decide like what exactly I'm gonna do with this old, really super cool, love the color, this old vintage tin. Like, everything always screams to me, put a plant in it. I know there's no holes on the bottom and I don't want to drill it, but I would love your ideas. Definitely put down below in the comments, what would you do with this? And I'm thinking for my booth in the fall, maybe it can house different items. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So once again, I typically don't do thrift hauls, but I had to share this event with you guys. If you are not yet a subscriber, I would love for you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Typically, I do thrift flips, so I'll take some items that I found at garage sales or resale stores, and I'll upcycle them into something I could sell either in my booth or on my website, or even keep for myself. So definitely hit that subscribe button if that's something that you enjoy watching. And I do throw a couple of my thrift hauls in there, here and there. So thanks again for taking the time to watch. I hope you enjoyed our weekend event that we did.